Do you want to know the biggest secret in video editing that will make a big difference to your quality of your videos and flow? Keep watching. Hi, I'm Rachel from Girl Directed TV. This channel is devoted to help your business grow and change the world with your content. So keep watching as I introduce my life and business partner, Michael, as he dives right into Final Cut Pro, giving you some of the best time-saving advice to make your videos amazing. He loves getting into all of the fine details, so he is the perfect person to run through this with you. Over to Michael, and I can't wait to see your content.
Thanks, Rachel. What I'm going to teach you today is the 5 things to remember when you're editing your videos. What are transitions exactly? Well, I'm glad you asked. Transitions help your story to flow and can also be a sneaky way to cover up some of those little mistakes that you may have made along the way. Let's jump into Final Cut Pro now so I can show you exactly what we're working with. Final Cut Pro is a Mac-only program, so for those of you on PC, you want to get into Premiere Pro. The lessons we teach here and the principles can be applied to Premiere Pro or whatever editing program you're using. But you'll find the interface looks slightly different. And you may even find that the interface has updated since we filmed this video. So let's get straight into the tips. The why, the when, and how. So here we are in Final Cut. The first transition that I want you to think about and you want to use the most is the cut. It's the most simple one. So that's simply if I was in here and say this line here, and I can just go up to here and do a blade, and I can just click on there, and that would then be a cut. But if I just say move that to get rid of an or something like that, or a little bit, then that would be a cut. And you'll see we actually have here as a jump cut. See that little jump then? So that's a very simple form of cut, and people often will use that just to remove ums and things like that. But that's not the kind of flow that we're talking about. In fact, we generally cover up a jump cut with something we call B-roll, for example. We would put that over there so you can't see it. But where you use cuts, the best example would be here. We've got one different image and we've got a totally different image. And this is where a lot of people would start using more complicated transitions, but the simplest ones are cuts like this. Watch this. And you can see there was 4 or 5 different cuts there, and they were just straight cuts, and that's what most editing needs to be. The next thing that you want to look at is a dissolve. Now dissolve, if you go to our transition area, under dissolves we have cross dissolves. And these are for switching from one image to another. So for example, if I put a cut in here, and I just drop this bit of footage in here in the timeline. And so now a normal cut would just be like that. You can see it's cut straight from there. Now the next thing is if we put the cross dissolve in there, we'll just drop that on there, and you can see, and it defaults to a certain length of time, but you can change that. See how it faded from me to... And that can be a nice effect. It can make it very long sometimes. I'll wait for it to render. That just means it's rendering that line there. So that's a nice effect, a long, slow dissolve in that way. It's going to help to tell the story. A cross dissolve can slow things down. So often just a cut is all you need. Now what you can also do is fade to black. Now I'm just going to drop this here. In Final Cut it's called fade to color. By default it's black. We can change it to any color. I'm just going to drop that on there. We'll wait for that dotted line to render again. And now when I press play, so that can be a really good way of, again, slowing down the story. It's used often between acts at a stage which is significant in a movie, and then they'll fade to black slowly and then fade up again. They might then say, 5 months later or something. So that can be really effective. But when you start to use the combination, and this is really all you need to start with, a combination of cuts to keep the flow moving and some cross dissolves just to slow it down, to then fade to blacks when you want to make it a bigger transition change. So that's a really good way to start. Now the thing about when you're editing is that when you start doing cuts, you'll find that they can jar a lot. So the reason why these all work pretty well is because we're changing from a close-up shot there to a wide angle shot, and then we just speed up there. And then we've got, that's from a very wide shot now to a closer wide shot, and then we're doing a panning down shot. So they're all different. If you're cutting from the same medium close-up all the time, which is something like what this looks like here, this main footage here is a medium close-up. If I was cutting from a medium close-up to another medium close-up of another person all the time, then the cuts can be quite jarring, and that good tip to do is to actually have it so that I'm, say, on one side of the camera, and then the other person, if I'm cutting to another person talking, is on the other side of the camera, and that makes it less jarring. So when it comes to dissolves, you'll see there are many different dissolves. There are dissolves that blur, there are Gaussian blurs, there are directional blurs with a line, and there's a zoom blur. There are movements, like you can have the color panes moving around. You can have it drop in, fall. So there's so many things you can try. You can do that comes with presets, and then you can install other ones when you buy them. So there's so many different ways of using transitions. But here's the thing. If you use too many transitions and too many different transitions in one video, it gets really messy and looks amateurish. So if you're still listening to this video now, then you are someone who wants to actually learn this really well. And so the difference between an amateur editor who knows how to use a program and who has good editing skills is their ability for timing, their understanding of the timing when they're cutting, the understanding of the flow they create with it, how it ties in with music, and also not being too complicated. Because you can always tell someone who's edited for the first time, you may be someone like that, who's gone in and they've used every possible transition you can have. There are even sometimes when I've seen people have bought a transition pack, and it might come with 10 different transitions of a similar style, but maybe there's circles, maybe there's triangles, or colors of the same patterns. But you don't need to use all of those. Just choose 1, 2, or 3 of them. Make it consistent. Think about the themes. Maybe you use certain transitions for a certain type of event that keeps happening through the video as a common thing, and it creates flow, creates rhythm. Editing is all about rhythm. If you want to know more about editing, if you want to learn all the details, all the nuances, how to do shortcuts, how to make your editing fast, talk to us at Girl Director. We run training courses with this. We have online training. We teach our people, whether they are novices or advanced editors, how to become really, really good.
So I hope you enjoyed watching Michael. See, he loves getting into the details. And if you want to be notified every time we release an amazing video just like this, packed with detail, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. So there'll be lots more amazing content coming up. And if there is something that you want to see, make sure that you comment below, because we would love to know what you want us to make. Bye.